The twin suns of Velara hung low in the purple sky when Hana saw the fire fall from the heavens. She was checking her crystal grain fields, running her 4 hands through the golden stalks when the bright streak caught her eye. At first she thought it was a meteor. Then she saw the pieces breaking off, trailing smoke and flame. Her chest tightened. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The burning thing crashed beyond the hills, maybe 5 kilometers away. A boom shook the ground beneath her feet. Birds scattered from the trees. Hana's color plates shifted to deep blue with worry. She should go home. She should tell her father. But her legs were already moving toward the crash site. The Vane were peaceful people. They grew food, made art, and talked about philosophy under the stars. They had no soldiers, no weapons. When Hana's grandmother was young, the planet had a small defense force, but they disbanded it. There was no need for fighting anymore. Everyone in the galaxy knew the Vane would never hurt anyone. Hana ran through the fields, her soft fur rippling in the wind. Her large compound eyes could see the smoke rising in the distance. Each of her forearms pumped as she ran. The closer she got, the more her instinct screamed at her to turn back. But someone might be hurt. Someone might need help. The crash site was worse than she imagined. A small ship, twisted and broken, lay in a crater of scorched earth. Fires burned in patches around it. Strange metal and glass were scattered everywhere. Hana had never seen a ship like this before. It wasn't Vane design. It wasn't like any trader ship that visited their world. Then she heard it. A groan. Weak and pained. Hana moved closer, stepping carefully around the hot metal. Inside the wreckage, pinned under a collapsed panel, was a creature she had never seen before. It had only 2 arms, 2 legs. Its face was flat with forward-facing eyes like a predator. Its skin was pale and covered in blood. Fear shot through her. This was an alien. A real alien from another world. And it looked dangerous. The creature's eyes opened. They were brown and filled with pain. It looked at her and tried to speak, but the words were sounds she didn't understand. Its hand reached toward her, trembling. Hana's color plates flickered between blue and green, fear and compassion fighting inside her. This creature was hurt. This creature needed help. That was all that mattered. She grabbed the metal panel with all 4 arms and pulled. It was heavy and hot, burning her hands, but she didn't stop. The panel shifted. The creature groaned again and tried to help push itself free. Together, they moved the wreckage enough for Hana to drag the alien out. The creature was bigger than her, heavier too. Hana pulled it away from the ship just as something inside exploded. The blast threw them both to the ground. Hana covered the alien's body with her own, protecting it from the flying debris. When the explosion stopped, Hana checked the creature. Still breathing, still alive. She couldn't leave it here. She had to get it to safety. The journey back to her farm took over an hour. Hana was strong from years of farm work, but carrying the unconscious alien was hard. She had to stop several times to rest. The suns were setting by the time she reached home. Her father, Jiwon, was standing outside their house when he saw her. His color plates flashed bright red with alarm. "What have you done?" he said, rushing to her. "What is that thing?" "It crashed," Hana said, gasping for breath. "It was hurt. I had to help." Her mother, Borum, came outside and gasped. "Bring it inside." Quickly, before the neighbors see, they laid the alien on a sleeping mat in their main room. Borum brought water and clean cloths. She had been a healer before she became a farmer. She knew how to treat injuries, but this was different. "I don't know its biology," Borum said, examining the wounds. "I don't even know where its organs are. But I can clean the cuts and stop the bleeding." Jiwon paced back and forth, his color plates shifting rapidly. "We need to report this. To Elder Taman. To the planetary government. We can't just keep an alien in our house." "And what will they do?" Hana asked. "Turn it over to someone else? Send it away? It will die." "That's not our problem," Jiwon said, but his voice was uncertain. "It became our problem when I brought it home," Hana said firmly. "We gave shelter. That's sacred." Her father couldn't argue with that. Among the Vane, giving shelter to someone in need was one of the highest virtues. To turn away someone you had already sheltered would bring shame to the entire family. The alien slept through the night. In the morning, Elder Taman arrived at their farm. Someone had seen the crash and reported it. Word had spread that Hana had gone to investigate. Elder Taman was old. His color plates faded to pale gray. But his mind was sharp. He looked at the alien for a long time. "What is it?" he asked. "I don't know," Hana admitted. "But it's intelligent. It tried to communicate. The elder noticed something clipped to the alien's belt, a small device. He picked it up carefully and pressed a button. The device lit up and projected a hologram of words in the air. They shifted through different languages until they settled on Vane script. Translation device, the elder said. This is a human. From a world called Earth. Human, Hana repeated the word. It felt strange in her mouth. The elder accessed more information from the device. His name is Doyen. He's a scout for something called the Terran Exploration Fleet. His ship was attacked. He paused, reading more. By the Crevel. Everyone in the room went still. The Crevel. Even the peaceful Vane knew that name. Raiders, pirates, killers, they terrorized the outer rim worlds, taking what they wanted and destroying the rest. This is very bad, Jiwan said. If the Crevel attack this human, they might come looking for him. They might come here. Then we need to decide what to do, Elder Taman said. I will call the village council. They need to know about this. That evening, the council met at Hana's farm. 12 elders came, their color plates showing every emotion from fear to curiosity. They debated for hours. Some wanted to contact the planetary government immediately. Others wanted to hide the human and pretend they knew nothing. A few even suggested leaving him somewhere remote and letting fate decide. While they argued, Doyen woke up. He sat up slowly, wincing in pain. His eyes scanned the room, taking in the strange surroundings and the even stranger faces looking at him. Where am I? He asked. The translation device on the table activated, converting his words into Vane speech. You're safe, Hana said, kneeling beside him. You crashed. I found you. This is my home. Doyen looked at her. Really looked at her. Forearms, compound eyes, color-shifting plates, an alien. But there was kindness in her face. You saved me, he said. Yes, thank you. His voice was thick with emotion. The Crevel attacked my ship. I barely escaped. My nav computer has data they want. Colony coordinates. If they get it, thousands of my people will die. Elder Taman stepped forward. Did you destroy the data? Most of it. But fragments remain in my neural implant. They'll come for me. They'll come here. Doyen looked around at all the frightened faces. I'm sorry. I've brought danger to your world. The room fell silent. Finally, one of the elders spoke. Then we should give him to them. Save ourselves. No, Hana said sharply. We sheltered him. That means something. Doyen reached into his torn uniform and pulled out a small device. Let me send a distress signal. My people will come. They'll help. How long? Elder Taman asked. 6 days. Maybe 7. The Crevel could be here in hours, another elder said. Doyen's face was grim. I know, I'll leave. I'll take a transport and get as far from here as I can. Maybe they'll follow me and leave your world alone. You can barely walk, Hana said. You won't get far. The debate continued late into the night. But before they could reach a decision, alarms began blaring across the planet. Ships had entered orbit. Crevel ships. 3 of them. The time for decisions was over. The hunters had arrived. The human fleet appeared on every screen across Velara. 5 massive ships hanging in space like metal mountains. 3 heavy cruisers bristling with weapons. 1 carrier that dwarfed even the largest Crevel vessel. 2 sleek destroyers that moved with predatory grace. Commander Vrath watched from his flagship's bridge. His confidence wavered. This was not a rescue party. This was a war fleet. A transmission came through on all frequencies. A human voice, cold and hard. This is Admiral Isul of the Terran Navy. You have committed acts of aggression against civilians under our protection. You have 1 hour to withdraw all forces beyond this system's heliopause. After that, you will be engaged and destroyed, Vrath laughed. The sound echoed through his bridge. Under your protection? We have been here for days. Where were you? Admiral Isul's response came swift and sharp. They sheltered one of ours. That makes them ours to protect. You harmed them. That makes you our enemy. You have 59 minutes. The transmission ended. Vrath looked at his tactical officer. 3 Crevel warships against 5 human vessels. His ships were strong. His crew was experienced. They had raided dozens of worlds, fought off planetary defenses, won every battle. But doubt crept into his mind. No one sent a battle group to rescue 1 scout, unless that scout mattered more than he thought. Unless these humans were making a point, Commander, his tactical officer said. I recommend we withdraw. We can find the human another time. No. Vrath's pride would not allow retreat. We do not run from humans. They are new to this region, untested. We will teach them to respect Krevil power. He activated the fleet channel. All ships battle formation. Prepare to engage. It was the worst decision of his life. It would also be his last. On the surface, Hana stood outside her farm with her family and half the village. They watched the sky knowing something terrible was about to happen. Elder Taman stood beside them, his old body tense. Doyen had climbed out of the underground storage and now stood with them. You should get inside underground. There might be debris. Will your people win? Minji asked. Doyen looked at the distant lights moving in orbit. He thought about his training, about the human military doctrine he had studied. Combined arms warfare. Overwhelming force. Leave nothing to chance. Yes, he said simply. They will win. In orbit, the battle began. The Krevil fired first, plasma cannons lighting up the darkness. Brilliant green bolts streaked toward the human fleet. They were powerful weapons capable of melting through ship armor in seconds. The human destroyers moved. Fast. Faster than anything the Krevil had seen. They slipped between the plasma bolts like dancers, their engines burning bright. Counterfire came immediately. Human railguns accelerating metal slugs to impossible speeds. The shots were precise, calculated, deadly. The first Krevil ship took 3 hits to its engine section. Explosions blossomed along its hull. It began to drift, powerless. Vrath's eyes widened. One of his ships disabled in seconds. All power to forward shields. Focus fire on that destroyer. But the destroyer was already gone, repositioning behind the human cruisers. And now the carrier was launching fighters. They came in waves. Small, fast craft that moved in perfect coordination. 40 fighters, 60, 80, more kept coming. The Krevil had never seen anything like it. Each fighter was controlled by an AI core linked to human pilots. They thought together, moved together, attacked together like a single living thing. Captain Jiho led the first wing. His voice crackled over the comm. All wings, Alpha formation. Target their weapon systems. Let's clip their claws. The fighters swarmed the second Krevil ship. Missiles streaked from their rails. Point defense tried to shoot them down. But there were too many coming from too many angles. The missiles had AI guidance. They dodged, weaved, found gaps in the defenses. Explosions rippled across the Krevil ship's hull. Weapons turrets went dark. The ship was still intact, still dangerous, but its teeth had been pulled. Vrath watched in growing horror. His fleet was being taken apart piece by piece. The humans were not just fighting. They were operating like a military machine, each unit supporting the others, every move calculated. Return fire, he screamed. Kill those fighters! His ship's guns opened up. Plasma bolts filled space. They hit 3 fighters, destroying them in balls of fire. But for every fighter lost, 10 more took its place. And now the human cruisers were moving into position. The lead cruiser fired its main batteries. Not plasma. Not lasers. Something different. Magnetic accelerator cannons. The shells moved so fast they were almost invisible. They hit with the force of small meteors. The second Krevil ship, already wounded by the fighters, took a direct hit. Its shields collapsed. The hull cracked open like an egg. Atmosphere vented into space. Bodies tumbled out, freezing instantly. Eject pods. The ship's captain screamed. Abandoned ship. Small escape pods burst from the dying vessel. The human fighters could have destroyed them. Instead, they let them go. Within minutes, human recovery teams were collecting the pods. Admiral Isol's voice came over the open channel again. Krevil vessels, you have seen our capabilities. Surrender now and you will be treated according to the Terran conventions on warfare. You will be fed, sheltered, and eventually returned to your people. Or you can die here, choose. The third Krevil ship, seeing the destruction of its sister ship, powered down weapons. Its captain transmitted surrender. The crew abandoned ship in orderly fashion, their pods quickly collected by human forces. Only Vrath's flagship remained. He stood on his bridge watching his fleet die around him. His pride was broken. His reputation destroyed. But surrender was unthinkable. Full power to engines, he ordered quietly. Set collision course with the human carrier. His crew stared at him. Commander, that is suicide. Better to die with honor than live in shame. Execute my orders. His ship lurched forward, damaged engines straining. It accelerated toward the human carrier, growing faster. If he could ram it, cause enough damage, maybe he could still claim victory of some kind. Admiral Isul watched the Krevel flagship's suicide run on her tactical display. She had expected this. Pride was a predictable thing. Point defense full spread. Destroy that ship before it closes to 5,000 meters. The carrier's point defense grid activated. Hundreds of small railguns designed to shoot down missiles and torpedoes. They all fired at once. The Krevel flagship was torn apart. Not explosively. Not dramatically. It simply came apart like paper in a storm. Metal shredded. Systems failed. The bridge, where Vrath stood defiant, was vaporized in an instant. The debris cloud spread harmlessly, too small to threaten the carrier. The battle was over. From first shot to final destruction, it had lasted 11 minutes. On Velara's surface, people watched the sky as debris began burning up in the atmosphere. Beautiful streaks of light, like shooting stars. But each one was a piece of a ship, a weapon, sometimes a body. Hana looked at Doyun. "Is it done?" He nodded slowly, his face solemn. "It is done. Your people are very good at fighting," Elder Taman observed. "Yes," Doyun agreed. "We had to be. Our homeworld was not always peaceful. We fought each other for thousands of years before we learned to work together. We know war. We know violence. That is why we try so hard to avoid it now." He looked at the Elder. "But when we fight completely. We do not leave enemies alive to threaten us again." "You could have destroyed all the escape pods," Minji said. "Killed everyone. But you did not. No. Once someone surrenders, they are no longer enemies. They are prisoners, and we treat prisoners with dignity. That is our law." Doyun paused. "But those who refuse to surrender, who continue to threaten innocents, we show no mercy." A shuttle descended from orbit, landing in the village square. Human soldiers emerged, but they were not aggressive. They moved carefully, respectfully, aware they were guests on an alien world. Admiral Isul herself came down in the second shuttle. She was tall for a human, her uniform crisp and decorated with medals, but her face was kind when she approached Elder Taman. "I am Admiral Isul," she said through a translation device. "I command the Terran forces in this sector. I understand your people sheltered one of my scouts when he was in need." Elder Taman gestured to Hana. "This young one found him and brought him to safety. She risked much." Admiral Isul turned to Hana and did something unexpected. She bowed. Deep and formal. "Thank you. You saved one of my people. The dead Earth owes you can never be fully repaid. But we will try." Hana's color plates shifted to soft pink. Embarrassment. "I only did what anyone should do. He needed help." "Not anyone," the Admiral said. "The Krevel did not help. Your own planetary government was willing to turn him over. But you, your family, your village, you stood firm. You gave shelter when it was dangerous. That matters." Governor Yunho arrived then, his official transport landing nearby. He rushed over, his color plates shifting rapidly between different emotions. Guilt. Fear. Relief. "Admiral, on behalf of Velara, I apologize for any misunderstanding." Admiral Isul held up a hand, cutting him off. "There is no misunderstanding, Governor. You were prepared to hand over my scout to save your people. I understand the decision. I do not respect it, but I understand it." She looked at Hana and her family. "These people made a different choice. They chose courage over safety. Honor over survival. That is why I am here." The 3 Krevel warships hung in orbit like dark predators circling wounded prey. On screens across Velara, every citizen watched as the alien vessels blocked out the stars. Governor Yunho stood in the planetary command center, his color plates flickering between gray and pale yellow. Fear and uncertainty. A Krevel face appeared on the main screen. Reptilian. Scarred. Cold eyes that held no mercy. "I am Commander Vrath of the Krevel Third Fleet," the alien said. His voice was rough like grinding stone. "You have something that belongs to me. A human, a fugitive. You will surrender him within 24 hours, or we will begin orbital bombardment of your cities." The screen went black. No negotiations. No discussion. Just a threat. Governor Yunho turned to his advisors. "We have no choice. We must find this human and give him to them." "Our sensors detected the crash site," one advisor said. "In the farming district, near Elder Taman's village. Send security forces. Search every farm, every house. Find the human." The governor's voice shook. "We have to save our people." Word spread fast across the planet. "Find the human. Turn him in. Save yourselves." Fear spread even faster. At Hana's farm, the family worked quickly. They cleared out the underground grain storage, making space for Doyen to hide. The storage had biodampening fields to keep the grain fresh. Those same fields would mask life signs from Krevel scanners. "This is insane," Ji-won said as he helped lower Doyen into the dark space below. "We're risking everything." "We already risked everything when we took him in," Borum replied. Her color plates were steady green, determined. "We don't abandon people we've sheltered." Hana's younger sister, Minji, brought blankets and food down to Doyen. "How long can you stay down here?" she asked. "As long as I need to," Doyen said. "I sent my distress signal. My people will come. In 6 days. Yes. We have less than 1 day before the Krevel attack." Doyen had no answer for that. Elder Taman arrived an hour later. He gathered Hana's family in their home and spoke quietly. "The planetary government is sending security forces. They will search every building. They will find him. Then what do we do?" Hana asked. The elder's color plates shifted to deep blue. Sadness. "I have a plan. But you won't like it. The plan was simple. When security forces arrived, Elder Taman would tell them the human was never in their district. He would lie. Use his authority as an elder to protect Doyen. It meant risking his reputation, his honor, maybe his life." "Why would you do this?" Hana asked. "For a stranger?" Elder Taman looked at her with his old wise eyes. "Because if we give him up to save ourselves, we become like the Krevel. We become the kind of people who sacrifice others to survive. I would rather die as a Vane who kept his word than live as a coward." The security forces arrived the next morning. They were Vane, but they looked different. Harder. They carried scanning equipment and wore protective gear. Governor Yunho had given them clear orders. They searched the village farm by farm. When they reached Hana's home, Elder Taman was waiting. "No human here," he said firmly. "I checked myself." The lead security officer looked uncertain. "Elder, we have orders to search everywhere." "Then search. But you won't find anything." They searched the house, the barns, the fields. Their scanners swept over the underground storage, but the biodampening field did its job. They found nothing, but the Krevel were not so easily fooled. When the 24 hours passed and no human was produced, Commander Vrath ordered his ships to begin landing. Not to bombard from orbit. Something worse. He sent ground troops. Krevel soldiers landed in the major cities first. They were huge, twice the size of a Vane, covered in armored scales and carrying weapons that crackled with energy. They moved through streets like a plague, searching, destroying, taking hostages. The Vane had no defense. No soldiers. No weapons. They could only watch in horror as their peaceful world was invaded. In the underground storage, Doyen watched the news feeds on a salvaged screen. His hands shook. "This is my fault. They're suffering because of me." Hana had brought him food and water. "No, this is the Krevel's fault. They choose to hurt people. But I brought them here and you crashed here. You didn't ask for this." Hana sat beside him in the dim light. "My people have a saying. When you give shelter, you give it completely, no matter the cost." "That's beautiful," Doyen said, "and terrible. You shouldn't have to pay this price for helping me." "My people have another saying," Hana continued. "Those who break their word break themselves. We gave you shelter. We won't take it back." Doyen looked at this alien creature who had saved his life, who was risking everything for him. For a moment he couldn't speak. Then he said quietly, "My people have a saying too. We remember those who shelter us always." 3 days passed. The Krevel expanded their search, moving into rural areas. They burned crops, destroyed homes, took Vane civilians for questioning and didn't return them. Fear turned to despair across the planet. Governor Yunho made a public broadcast, begging anyone with information to come forward. "Please, if you know where the human is, tell us. Save your world. Save your families." Some veins started to crack. In one city, neighbors turned on each other, accusing anyone who acted strangely. The Krevel encouraged this, offering rewards for information. The fabric of Vane society was tearing apart. On the 4th day, Krevel troops reached Hana's village. Lieutenant Sora led the unit. She was young for a Krevel officer, her scales still bright green instead of the dark gray of veterans. She had joined the military seeking honor and glory, but this wasn't what she expected. Terrorizing farmers, hurting civilians. This felt wrong. Her troops moved through the village methodically. Elder Taman tried to speak with her, to reason with her, but she had orders. Search every building, she commanded. The human is here somewhere. When they reached Hana's farm, Minji stood at the door. There's no one here but us. Lieutenant Sora pushed past her. We'll see about that. They tore through the house, broke furniture, smashed belongings. Jiwan and Borum stood helplessly as their home was destroyed. Hana kept her color plates neutral, showing no emotion, giving nothing away. A Krevel soldier activated a bioscanner, sweeping it through each room. When he passed over the floor where the underground storage was hidden, the scanner flickered. The biodampening field was weakening. Too many days of constant use. The soldier stopped. Lieutenant, I'm getting a faint reading here. Hana's heart stopped. Lieutenant Sora moved closer, her weapon ready. She looked at the floor, then at Hana. Their eyes met. Before she could give the order to break through the floor, a massive boom echoed across the sky. Everyone stopped. Looked up, a voice crackled over Lieutenant Sora's communicator. Commander Vrath, urgent and angry. All units, return to your ships immediately. We have incoming contacts. Multiple hyperspace signatures. What contacts? Sora asked. Human ships. A full battle group. They just dropped out of hyperspace at the system edge. Doyen's people had come. Not in 6 days, in 4. They had pushed their ships hard, jumped through dangerous routes, risked everything to get here faster, because one of their scouts had been sheltered by locals who were now in danger. Lieutenant Sora stared at her communicator in disbelief. A battle group. That meant multiple capital ships, dozens of fighters, maybe thousands of humans. For one scout. Pull back, she ordered her troops. Back to the landing craft, now. As the Krevel soldiers ran from the farm, Hana opened the hidden door to the underground storage. Doyen climbed out, shaking and pale. They came, he whispered. They actually came. What happens now? Hana asked. Doyen looked at the sky where distant lights were beginning to move in orbit. Human ships taking position. His voice was quiet but certain. Now the Krevel learn what happens when you threaten people under Earth's protection. 3 months passed like a dream. The human orbital station grew in the sky above Velara, a silver wheel turning slowly among the stars. On the surface, a small garrison base appeared near Elder Tayman's village, built with careful respect for the surrounding farmland. The humans were good guests. They paid for food and supplies. They helped repair buildings damaged by the Krevel. They taught new farming techniques and shared medical knowledge. Most importantly, they asked for nothing in return. Hana found herself spending more time at the base than on her farm. She taught human soldiers about crystal grain cultivation, showed them which plants were safe to eat, explained vain customs and traditions. In return, they taught her about Earth, about oceans so vast you could not see across them, about cities with millions of people, about a history filled with war and peace, struggle and triumph. Doyen had recovered fully from his injuries. He had been reassigned as a permanent liaison officer to Velara. His official job was to coordinate between human and Vane authorities. His real job, the one that mattered, was being a bridge between two species learning to understand each other. One evening, he and Hana sat on a hill overlooking both her farm and the human base. The twin suns were setting, painting the purple sky in shades of orange and red. How does it feel? Doyen asked. Having aliens living on your world? Hana's color plates shifted to thoughtful green. Strange, but good. Your people are not what I expected. When I first saw you in the wreckage, I thought you looked like predators, dangerous, but you are not. We are predators, Doyen said quietly. We evolved that way. Eyes in the front of our heads to track prey. Teeth designed to tear meat. Aggression bred into our bones. But we learned to control it. To direct it. We channel that predator nature into protecting instead of hunting. Is that why you came so fast? When I was in danger, partly, but mostly because you showed me kindness when you did not have to. In human culture, that creates a bond, a debt that must be honored. He looked at her with his strange two-eyed gaze. My people have a saying, do not harm those who give you shelter, for they have made themselves vulnerable to protect you. We have a similar saying, Hana replied. I know, that is why we protect you now, because our values align, because you proved you share them, even when it was dangerous. Down at the base, human children from military families played with young Vane from the village. They could not speak each other's languages well yet, but children have their own universal communication. Laughter sounds the same across species. Not everyone was happy with the new arrangement. In the planetary capital, some politicians grumbled about human military presence. They worried about losing independence, about becoming a client state. Governor Yunho publicly supported the protection agreement, but privately he was nervous about how much influence Earth now had. Ambassador Nari, the human diplomat assigned to Velara, worked tirelessly to address these concerns. She negotiated a formal treaty with the Vane government. The terms were generous. Earth would defend Velara and provide technological assistance. In exchange, they asked only for the land their base occupied and permission to recruit Vane volunteers for cultural and scientific exchanges. No tribute, no resources, no control over Vane government. When the treaty was made public, many Vane were shocked. Why so little? They asked. Why not demand more? Ambassador Nari's response was simple. Because that is not how Earth operates. We do not conquer. We do not exploit. We protect our friends and expect nothing but friendship in return. The treaty was signed in a ceremony attended by leaders from across Velara. Elder Taman was given a place of honor, representing those who had made the protection possible. Hana stood beside him, uncomfortable with the attention, but proud of what her people had accomplished. But not everyone in the galaxy was pleased with Earth's growing influence. The Draken Confederacy watched with growing concern. They were a powerful empire that had dominated this region of space for centuries. They bullied smaller worlds, extracted tribute, enforced their will through threat of force. Velara had been in their sphere of influence. Now humans had claimed it. Admiral Wanshik, commander of the Draken 3rd Expansion Fleet, received orders from his government. Test the human resolve. See if they would really fight to defend one small farming world. He led a fleet of 7 warships to Velara's system. Not to attack, not yet. Just to show force. To remind everyone who really controlled this region. The Draken fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the system's edge and began moving inward. They conducted aggressive sensor sweeps of the planet and the human orbital station. They were looking for weaknesses. Testing defenses. On the orbital station, alarm sounded. The human defense coordinator, Commander Taiyang, watched the Draken ships on his tactical display. He was young for such an important position, but he had proven himself in a dozen battles. 7 ships, his sensor officer reported. Draken heavy cruisers, all of them. They are conducting active scans of our station and the planet. Lock weapons, Commander Taiyang ordered calmly. But do not fire. Send them a message. Standard greeting protocol. The message was polite but firm. This system was under Earth's protection. The Draken fleet was welcome to pass through peacefully. Any hostile action would be met with force. Admiral Wanshik read the message and laughed. They think one station can face my fleet? Send a response. Tell them to leave or we will remove them. The response came back immediately. This is your final warning. Withdraw or be removed. You have 60 seconds. Wanshik's smile faded. Final warning? These humans had nerve. He would teach them a lesson about power. All ships move into attack formation. Perform a mock attack run on their station. Let us see if they have the courage to... His tactical officer interrupted. Admiral, new contacts, multiple vessels decloaking around us. On the tactical display, ships appeared. Not from hyperspace. They had been there all along, hidden by stealth technology. 12 human vessels surrounded the Draken fleet. Frigates, destroyers, hunter-killers. Each one locked weapons on a Draken ship. Wanshik felt fear for the first time in his long career. They had walked into a trap. The humans had been waiting. Commander Taiyang's voice came over the open channel. Admiral Wanshik of the Draken Confederacy. You are surrounded. You are outgunned. You are already dead if we choose it. You have 10 seconds to begin your withdrawal or we will open fire. We will not give you another warning. Wanshik looked at his tactical officer. Analysis. Can we win? The officer's voice shook. No, Admiral. They have perfect firing solutions on all our ships. If they fire first, they will cripple our fleet before we can respond. And we have no idea what other forces they have hidden. 8 seconds left. 7, 6. Wanshik swallowed his pride. All ships reverse course. Exit the system. The Draken fleet turned and accelerated away, moving as fast as their engines would allow. The human ships followed them to the system edge, weapons still locked, making sure they left. Only when the Draken ships jumped to hyperspace did the human vessels return to their positions. Most cloaked again, disappearing from sensors, invisible guardians watching over Velara. On the surface, most Vane had no idea how close they had come to another war. But Hana knew. Doyen had told her about the Draken fleet, about the standoff, about the human response. "How many ships do you have hiding up there?" she asked. Doyen smiled. "Enough. Earth does not defend its friends with half measures. When we say you are under our protection, we mean it absolutely. But why? We are just farmers. We have nothing you need." "You have everything we need," Doyen said. "You have honor. You have courage. You showed kindness to a stranger when it was dangerous. In human culture, that makes you family, and we protect family." Hana's color plates shifted to soft gold. Happiness. Understanding. News of the Draken fleet's retreat spread quickly through the galaxy. The story grew with each telling. 7 Draken warships fled from one human station. The humans had hidden ships everywhere. Earth's protection was absolute. Other small worlds began sending messages to Earth. Worlds tired of being bullied. Worlds seeking protection. Worlds that had heard the story of Velara and wanted the same guarantee. Earth's response was always the same. "Prove you share our values. Prove you will stand up for others even when it is hard. Prove you choose honor over convenience. Then we will stand with you." The Draken Confederacy filed a formal complaint with the Galactic Council. They accused Earth of aggression, of expanding their influence, of threatening established powers. The Council held hearings. They listened to arguments from both sides. Then they asked one simple question. Did Earth attack anyone? Did they invade any world? Did they take anything by force? The answer was no. Earth had simply honored a debt, protected those who showed kindness. The Council dismissed the complaint. On Velara, life continued. The harvest came, more bountiful than ever, with human agricultural assistance. Festivals were held where human and Vane celebrated together. Children of both species played in the fields where Hana had once worked alone. Elder Taman, growing older with each passing day, watched it all with satisfaction. His choice had been right. His people had gained not just protection, but friends. True friends who asked for nothing but offered everything. 5 years had passed since the day Hana pulled a dying human from burning wreckage. 5 years since the Kravel came hunting. 5 years since Earth made Velara untouchable. The world had changed, not in obvious ways. The farm still grew crystal grain. The twin suns still painted the sky purple. The Vane still lived their peaceful lives. But something fundamental had shifted. Velara was no longer isolated. No longer vulnerable. They had become part of something larger. The human garrison had grown into a proper settlement. Not a military base anymore, but a town where humans and Vane lived side by side. Mixed families were becoming common. Human parents adopting Vane children who lost families to the Kravel attack. Vane families hosting human students learning agriculture. The boundaries between species were blurring. Hana stood in her fields, no longer young but not yet old. Her color plates had developed deeper hues with age. She worked alongside 2 human farmhands who had married into Vane families. They laughed together as they harvested, speaking a hybrid language that mixed Vane and human words. Doyen walked up the path to her farm. He visited often, though his duties kept him busy. He had become something more than a liaison officer. He was a symbol, the human who had been sheltered. The reason Earth protected this world. "Busy day?" he asked, joining her in the field. "Always," Hana replied, "but good busy. The crystal grain loves the new irrigation system your engineers installed. Speaking of which, I have news. 3 more worlds have requested Earth's protection. All of them cited Velara as their inspiration." Hana stopped working and looked at him. "Because of what we did?" "Because of what you did. You started something, Hana. You showed the galaxy that kindness matters, that protecting the vulnerable matters, that standing up to bullies matters." He smiled. "Earth is building a network of protected worlds now. We call it the Shelter Initiative. Every world that joins agrees to the same principle. Help those in need even when it is hard. And Earth protects them all?" "We do, because they prove they share our values. We cannot protect everyone, but we can protect those who prove they would do the right thing even when it costs them." Doyen paused. "You set the standard, Hana. Every world that applies for protection has to demonstrate the same courage you showed." Hana's color plates shifted through several emotions: pride, embarrassment, wonder. "I just helped someone who was hurt." "Anyone would have—" "No," Doyen interrupted gently. "Not anyone. The Krevel would not have. Many of your own people would not have. Your own government would not have. But you did. That made all the difference. They walked together to the hill overlooking the human settlement. Children played in the streets below, a mix of species running and laughing together. A Vane school had been built next to a human one, and students from both learned together. What happened to the Krevel? Hana asked. The ones who survived. The prisoners. We kept our word. We fed them. Sheltered them. Treated their injuries. Then we returned them to their people just as we promised. Doyen looked thoughtful. Some of them did not want to go back. Lieutenant Sora, who led the troops to your farm, requested asylum. She is living on Earth now, studying human military ethics. She says she wants to teach her people a better way. Do you think they can change? The Krevel? I think anyone can change if they choose to. Humans did. We were violent for thousands of years. We nearly destroyed ourselves. But we learned, we grew, we became better. He looked at her. That is the real power of what you did, Hana. You did not just save one human. You showed the galaxy that there is another way. A better way. Elder Taman was very old now. His color plates had faded to almost white. He spent most of his days in his home, receiving visitors who wanted to hear the story from him. Young Vane came to learn. Historians came to record. Diplomats came to understand. Today, a class of young students sat around him. Human and Vane children together, their teacher having brought them to hear a living legend. Tell us the story, Elder. One young Vane asked. Tell us about the day the human fell from the sky. Taman smiled, his old eyes distant with memory. It was a day like any other. Hana was in her fields. The twin suns were setting. Then fire fell from heaven. He told the story slowly, carefully, making sure the children understood each part. The crash. Hana's courage. The family's fear. The village's choice. The Krevel's threat. Earth's response. When he finished, a human child raised their hand. Were you scared, Elder? When the Krevel came? Terrified, Taman admitted. I am not a brave person. I am not a warrior. I am just an old farmer who happened to be in charge of a village. But I knew one thing. We are not warriors. We will never be warriors. But we could choose to be good. That was our weapon. Our strength. Our honor, a young Vane asked. But what if we had turned him away? What if we had given Doyen to the Krevel? Taman's expression grew serious. Then we would have saved ourselves that day. But we would have lost ourselves forever. We would have become like the Krevel, like all the bullies in the galaxy who take the easy path. The humans understand this. That is why they protect us. Not because we are strong, but because we chose to be good when it was hard. Another student asked, what should we learn from this story? That kindness has power, Taman said. Not power like weapons or armies. Power to change things. Power to make friends. Power to build something better. One act of kindness saved one life. That one life brought protection to our entire world. And now our world inspires others. Kindness spreads like ripples on water, touching shores we cannot see. The teacher thanked Elder Taman and led the children outside. As they left, Taman heard them talking excitedly about the story about Earth, about being brave. Hana visited him that evening. She brought food and sat with him as the sun set. I heard you had students today, she said. I did. They asked good questions. Smart children, both species. He looked at her fondly. They will build something we cannot imagine, I think. A future where Vane and humans are not separate, where kindness is the rule, not the exception. Do you regret it?
Our choice that day?
Taman laughed, a dry sound like rustling leaves. Regret never, we did the right thing. We chose honor over fear. We chose compassion over convenience. That choice made us who we are. It made Velara what it is now. How could I regret that? The galaxy has changed because of us, Hana said softly. No, the galaxy has changed because of you. You were the one who ran toward danger. You were the one who pulled him from the fire. You were the one who said no when everyone else wanted to give up. He reached out with one of his 4 hands and touched hers. You are the hero of this story, Hana. Never forget that. In the years that followed, Elder Taman's prediction came true. More worlds joined the Shelter Initiative. Earth's protection spread across the sector. The Krevel, diminished and humbled, began to change their ways. The Dreekan Confederacy found their influence waning as their tributary worlds sought protection elsewhere. A new power structure emerged in the galaxy. not based on military might alone, but on mutual protection and shared values. Worlds that protected the vulnerable found themselves protected in turn. Kindness became strategic. Honor became strength, and at the center of it all, Earth stood as both guardian and example, showing the galaxy what humanity had learned through millennia of struggle, that the strong have a duty to protect the weak. That mercy is not weakness. That honor matters more than power. Hana grew old in her fields. She never left Velara, never sought fame or reward. She remained a farmer, teaching the next generation how to grow crystal grain, how to work the land, how to live a good life. But visitors came from across the galaxy to meet her, to thank her, to tell her how the story of her courage had inspired them. She received them all with quiet grace, always insisting she had done nothing special. Doyun remained on Velara for the rest of his life. He and Hana became as close as siblings, bound by the moment that changed everything. He never forgot that she had saved him when no one else would. She never forgot that he had brought protection to her world. When Elder Taman finally passed, the entire planet mourned. Humans and Vane together held a ceremony in his honor. They told stories of his wisdom, his courage, his choice to lie to protect a stranger. A monument was built in the village square. It showed 3 figures, Hana pulling Doyen from the wreckage, Elder Taman standing between his people and danger. Above them both stylized human ships protecting the world below. The inscription read simply, "They sheltered one. Earth protects all." Years later, when Hana was very old and her color plates had faded to pale gray like Taman's had been, a young human officer came to visit. She was the granddaughter of one of the original garrison soldiers. She had been born on Velara, had grown up in the mixed settlement, considered herself as much Vane as human. "Elder Hana," the young officer said, using the title with respect. "I am being assigned to a new world, another farming planet that sheltered a human scout who was being hunted. I wanted to meet you before I go, to understand what this means." Hana smiled, her old eyes still bright. "It means they chose courage over fear. It means they proved they share our values. It means Earth will keep them safe as they kept your scout safe." "But why does Earth care so much about strangers on distant worlds?" "Because humans remember," Hana said.